Hello, Franklin families. It's Miss Farrar, the Library Media Specialist. And this week's Franklin Friday Read Aloud is Bayard Rustin. The March on Washington. Think of a time when something seemed unfair. How did you feel? What did you do? Bayard Rustin knew about working to fix unfair things. On August 28th, 1963, daylight stretched across the city. Engines roared and horns honked. The people of Washington, D.C. were starting a new day. But Bayard Rustin was already hard at work. He had spent months planning the March on Washington for jobs and freedom. The big day was finally here. The clock ticked. Bayard was worried. What if people did not come? He did not worry for long. Hundreds of thousands of people were ready to protest. Black and white people walked arm in arm. They were tired of discrimination in America. That day at the event, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. His speech gave many African Americans hope. Becoming an activist. Bayard Rustin was born in 1912. Slavery had been against the law for 47 years. But Black people were still not treated as equal to white people. Bayard's grandparents, Jennifer and Julia Rustin, were activists for equal rights. He learned from them. Hotels near Bayard's family did not let African American people stay there. Jennifer and Julia Rustin let visiting leaders stay with them instead. The visitors were part of the civil rights movement. Bayard met these leaders and learned from them too. Famous guests. The Rustin family had some famous guests when Bayard was young. The activists W.E.B. Du Bois and James Weldon Johnson came to visit many times. At that time, Black and white children had to go to different schools. Signs on buses told Black people where to sit. They had to drink from different water fountains. It was the law, but it wasn't fair. Bayard wanted to work for equality. He had learned from his grandmother's Quaker beliefs. He went to church with the help of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. He was going to be a leader. Leading from behind the scenes. Bayard believed in solving problems without violence. He made friends who felt the same way he did. He began teaching other people. He helped them plan peaceful protests, boycotts, and other events. Between the 1940s and 1970s, Black people marched, boycotted, went to jail, and died for equal rights. A peaceful life. Bayard learned about being nonviolent from Mahatma Gandhi. He was a lawyer and activist in India. He believed in fixing problems with peace. Bayard Rustin had a special place in the civil rights movement. He did not give famous speeches like some people. Instead, he planned and organized. He helped people run equal rights groups. He showed them how to fight unfair laws without being violent. Some people treated Bayard unfairly because he was gay, but this did not stop him. The police arrested Bayard several times for his protests, but he did not quit. Bayard helped organize the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. It was the biggest march he had ever worked on. Bayard was an important leader on that important day. He helped make big changes for the civil rights movement and for the United States. Bayard's work didn't end once the March on Washington was over. He continued to work hard, organize, and lead, all from behind the scenes. Bayard believed that nonviolent work for equality could change the world. He proved that there are many ways to be an important leader and make a difference. We need, in every community, a group of angelic troublemakers. Bayard Rustin. His timeline. In 1912, he was born on March 17th. In 1932, he started school at Wilberforce University in Ohio. In 1936, he was asked to leave Wilberforce after protesting school conditions. A year later, he starts school at City College in New York City. In 1942, he begins traveling the country talking about civil rights. In 1944, he is arrested for missing a meeting that could send him to war. In 1945, he organizes the Free India Committee for India's independence from Great Britain. In 1947, he tests laws against discrimination. He is arrested. In 1955, he meets Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and talks with him about nonviolence. A year later, in 1956, he helps Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1963, Bayard helps organize the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Over 200,000 people attended. In 1964, he becomes an advisor to the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Also in 1964, he helps create the A. Philip Randolph Institute, named for his mentor, the noted labor and civil rights activist. In 1987, Bayard dies on August 24th at the age of 75. And in 2013, he is awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom after his death by President Barack Obama. I hope you enjoyed this week's Franklin Friday Read Aloud. I will see you all next week.